Check this out. I'm somewhere in Pennsylvania, west of Harrisburg. This is Camp Michaux, or what is left of it. At one time, this was a World War II POW interrogation camp. And there's some stuff left here throughout the woods. So I'm going to walk around and see what's here. I don't know, pool and some buildings. I don't know what's here. I've just seen some pictures online. It's really hot today, but I'm going to power through it, and I'm going to show you Camp Michaux. Look at that. This is the Pine Grove Furnace prisoner of war interrogation camp. It was used between 1943 and 1945. The U.S. War Department operated a clandestine facility where military intelligence officers interrogated enemy prisoners. During its 30-month existence, thousands of German and Japanese prisoners were questioned here in an attempt to learn about the Axis war effort and the development of new weaponry. Before that, from 1787 to 1919, the site was a farm community serving the iron industry. The Civilian Conservation Corps operated Camp S51 PA here from 1933 to 1942 before it was used as a POW camp. Following the war, it became Church Camp Michaux from 1946 to 1972, a cooperative effort of the United Church of Christ and the United Presbyterian Churches. The area is now a protected area within Michaux State Forest. So there's just a bunch of remnants of this camp. So I had visited an internment camp for the Japanese out in Idaho. That's a really interesting place. It's somewhere on my channel, on the main channel. But that was for Japanese Americans. That was for actual American citizens who had homes and families and businesses. And then after the Japanese hit us at Pearl Harbor, and we got into the war and everything, the U.S. rounded up all those Japanese Americans and put them in these internment camps. So this is saying this was a camp for Germans and Japanese people that they captured, prisoners of war, and then they came here. So people who have been here before might be saying, wait, why is this place secret? It's part of a state park. Well, I mean, it was extremely secret back then. In fact, even the local towns, the people who lived in this area, didn't know that this was an interrogation camp. I mean, they knew that there was a camp here because it had been here, but they didn't know that throughout those years of World War II, 7,500 German and Japanese prisoners of war were interrogated here. The entire camp was surrounded with barbed wire fence, about 110 acres. And unlike other POW camps in history, these prisoners were well fed and cared for. There was recreation and they were well clothed. So it certainly wasn't, anything comparable to, say, a concentration camp or anything like that. And another interesting fact is, from what I've read, this was one of only 3 like it in the U.S. I found this. This is pretty interesting. I don't really have a light with me. I have a phone with a light, but I hear dripping water. Let's see what we find here. Whoa. Why does it smell so bad in here? This might have been the septic. Not even kidding. I'm not even going to see what that is over there because it stinks in here. Although, would human feces last that long? No, this was a building. But yeah, this smells very suspect. And I don't want to stand in it, so we will not be finding out what that is. That is gross. All right, continuing on with the tour. So during the church camp years, this was a pool. I don't know what it was in the POW camp. That's an understatement right there. You don't want to land down there. The fecal matter pit. Fecal pit. So all this land really was used for hundreds of years as farmland for farming all kinds of things, fruits, vegetables, everything. And then the state took it over sometime in the 1920s or 1930s, and that's when the CCC came in and they built all this stuff. All of these locations have these posts with these numbers. They kind of explain to you what everything is, why it's there, what it used to look like, what it was used for. That's a handy dandy piece of information here, because if you were to just come across this area, you'd be like, what the heck is this stuff? There's a plaque here that says you can still spot remnants of the camp swimming area pictured here around 1950. Look for the curving retention wall still visible to the left of the wetlands. Take the short side trail at the far side of the wetlands to find part of the concrete trough that once fed Tom's Run into the pond. Look, I think that's where the diving board used to be. Let me see. Yeah, and here's how the water used to get fed into here. Look at that. Okay, yeah, you can see the retention wall that goes all the way around, curves all the way around. Interesting that it still feeds the body of water, although in a subpar manner now. You can choose whatever bridge you'd like, but I'm going to the right. Ah, interesting. So up here there's a bunch of platforms that I think was more barracks all throughout here. Oh yeah, look at the stairs. It is a scorcher today. Yeah, so you can tell that this is likely barracks. These are just the supports for what used to be a wood platform. This is all fresh. They were just weed whacking this. You can smell it. Cutting trees and weed whacking. Although this is pretty interesting in itself. Very fancy. They even had a fountain. Oh yeah, it would have had a plaque on it. It's cool. So this is all that's left of the guard tower. Would have been interesting to see an actual tower, but that's it. You'll have to use your imagination. So there you go. Just a look at the very interesting POW camp here in rural Pennsylvania. Cool spot. See you in the next video.